that public element and make sure anyone can tune in that would like. We stream these all live to YouTube. So I'm starting that up now. I think we have it going. Okay. All right. And then the last thing I need to do is just read through our hearing script. So I'm going to start by doing that. That basically just covers the procedure for the hearing. And then we'll jump right into some of the presentations. So this is the May 5th, 2022 session of the Zoning Hearing Examiner docket. My name is David Sturkey. I'm the Zoning Hearing Examiner for the City of Cincinnati, and I'll preside over this hearing. The cases before us today are case numbers ZH, just make sure I have these right, ZH20220043 through ZH20220051. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the Zoning Hearing Examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing, unless there's been evidence or testimony in the form of writing submitted prior to this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. If there were anyone here from the public, they would then have an opportunity to speak after the applicant had presented its case. If the applicant is represented by an attorney, the applicant's attorney may cross-examine any person who has testified at this hearing. If a party of record is represented by an attorney, the attorney for the party of record may present witnesses after the applicant has presented its case and may cross-examine any person who has testified at the hearing. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to an application, the applicant shall have an opportunity to rebut the testimony and or argument offered in opposition. After the applicant has been given an opportunity to rebut any testimony and or argument offered in opposition, and the attorney or party of record will have an opportunity to make a closing statement. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make a closing statement. After all presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or make any comments. I may also refuse to consider hearsay testimony or documents. That's generally evidence you want to introduce that consists of statements made by someone who is not present at this hearing. In the event of any technical difficulties with the Zoom technology, I'll do my best to troubleshoot those issues on the fly, but to the extent there's some defect with the tech that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with this hearing, I may continue or postpone the hearing at my discretion. Okay, the last thing I need to do is just swear in all of our witnesses. So if you intend on providing any testimony here today, making any comments, asking any questions, really doing anything other than just strictly observing here today, and you are not an attorney, then you need to be sworn in. So if that's you, if you could take yourself off mute, I need everyone to answer out loud, and I need you to raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
I do.
I do.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. Okay, so like I said, I wanted to start with the Reading Road case, and I believe, does it end in 45, that case number? Someone know that offhand? I think it might.
Yes, it does.
Thanks, Wes. Okay, so we're looking at 7798 Reading Road, and this is case number ZH20220045. Now, before we get into the standard procedure I just talked about, I believe that there were some sort of procedural housekeeping issues that I wanted to cover beforehand. So Ms. Swenson, it looked like maybe you were ready to jump in there. Correct me if I was wrong on that interpretation, but can anyone with the applicant owner, or I'm sorry, the applicant team or with DISH, give me an update on where we're at with this?
The applicant is withdrawing this application.
Okay, so we will not be hearing this at least today.
Correct.
Okay, all right, great. Well, Ms. Holly, congratulations.
Thank you, everyone, and for bearing with us with our technical difficulties.
Sure, no problem at all. You're welcome to stick around if you'd like, but we're going to move on to some of the other properties.
We will be exiting respectfully, and thank you, everyone, for your time.
Okay, take care. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. Let me just make a note of that. But I think, if you have a certain order you'd like to talk about these, I'm happy to. I typically let the applicants and the owners sort of orient their presentations however they would like. And so Again, if you want to talk about this generally, like what the project, if you're doing the same thing on all the rest of the properties, which is, I think, just my non-technical review, it feels like that. So if you're doing the same thing, you can talk about all the projects, generally what it is exactly that you're doing and why it's appropriate. But I would like you to touch on just a little bit each individual property, if there's any unique characteristics or qualities of those properties that you think deserve mention. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Okay. So who's going to be taking the lead on these presentations?
I can give you the overview of the scope of work, which you are correct is the same on each of the sites.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, let's do that.
So Dish Wireless is proposing to co-locate on the existing facilities a 5-foot by 7-foot steel grate ground platform that sits on feet about 17 inches high. It's going to hold one cabinet and an H-frame for the utilities. That's the groundwork. In addition to that would be an ice bridge to the tower. On the tower, Dish will be adding 3 antennas and a mount. The radios go up there as well. All work is taking place within the existing fenced area, and the height of the towers nor the lighting or any other changes to the tower will take place other than within this scope.
Got it. Okay. And so how much or how large, again, could you tell me the equipment is that will be installed on the ground?
Well, the platform's 5 foot by 7 foot, and it's a steel grate, that sits on feet 17 inches, and on that will be the cabinet. And I don't have I can get the dimension of the cabinet. They're about like 2 by 3 foot. And the H frame will hold the utilities in a fiber box.
Okay. And
If I may add, David,
sure.
so each of the applications should qualify through the 6 criteria as an eligible facility request.
You said the 6 criteria?
Yeah, so the FCC guidelines in terms of co-location, which I believe the city of Cincinnati has recently kind of codified in relationship to the CUP process, that each of these applications do align with a eligible facility request and all of the elements of EFR.
Got it. Okay. And then has anyone reviewed the conditional use standards in the local standards in the code and can speak to those and how these projects comply with those as well?
Do we need to go through those individually from what was listed in the applications and staff report?
So, I mean, I think it would be helpful. I mean, no, this stuff. I mean, I think it would be helpful if we could go through. I don't know. I mean, so that are they all really, I mean, identical and just except
In
for their
scope, yes. The only difference would probably be like the height levels that the antennas are mounted at and, where in the compound. But other than that, everything is taking place on the existing tower and within the existing fenced compound.
Okay. Yeah, I think it may be a bit academic, but I think for the record and to help me write out these decisions, if you could go through some of those details for each site, I think it would be helpful.
I wonder if, excuse me. I wonder if the findings are what you'd like us to quote from the staff report. on a site by site?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, she mentioned different heights. You know,
We can clarify that site by site.
I mean, I'm generally just looking for, you know, a few reasons why each one is appropriately located and designed and configured.
Can I start with one as an example and see how that goes?
Sure, let's do that.
Okay, this would be case 2022-0046,
Okay,
located at 5924 Carthage Court. This is proposing locating at 130 foot above ground level on an existing 180 foot tower.
and do you know what the zoning district is and the sort of surrounding land uses?
I believe he. Yes,
It's industrial zoning, if I can add that.
Sure.
thank you.
So industrial surrounding uses.
Mix of commercial and industrial zoning with residential zoning beyond to the west. Abutting the subject property to the east is a railroad track and industrial zoning. The surrounding Carthage Court, corridor is a mix of commercial and industrial uses.
Gotcha. Okay. Any anticipated adverse effects on this one? Or for this location?
This. Where's my fix? No.
Okay. Let's move on to another one.
David, can I clarify or outline something?
Sure.
So most of the proposed antennas are on towers that are kind of like in locations that aren't very visible, or like they're abutting an industrial area or railroad track or something like that, where the existing fence at the bottom is like a chain link fence. And those ones that were not visible like from the street, we just said that fence is okay. There's no adverse impact. But there's a couple of them that had like more visible locations where we outlined that they need to do a little more screening to comply with the code. And so on those ones, we highlighted that they should do the like slats inserted into the chain link as the screening mechanism. So I just wanted to highlight that there's a couple of them that had that distinction as you go through them.
And can you tell me exactly which ones those are?
Number 44 on McMillan.
43 on Chateau.
Okay.
So while he's looking for that, number 43 on Chateau, what's the zoning district there?
Let me bring that up. Missions RMX.
Okay, and do we have a sense for the surrounding land uses there?
Surrounding area has residential zoning with a mix of multifamily and single family residential land uses. There's commercial zoning 1 block to the north along Price Avenue. And the tower's been there since '96. It's 291 foot tall above ground level. And they're proposing a location at 160 foot. And they're recommending slats in the existing chain link fence, which is fine.
Okay. 44, could you sort of go through the same criteria for me?
.44 is mine. I'm just pulling it up here.
Okay.
The application 44, the address is 490 East McMillan. The zoning district is manufacturing general. The applicant is proposing to add a new antenna and at 172 to 175 feet above ground level on the existing tower. The existing tower is 185 feet tall and approximately 800 feet from the nearest residential structure in a residential zone. The existing base area is 18 by 23 feet approximately in size with a chain link fence surrounding the base area. And new cabinet and associated equipment is proposed.
Okay. When was the tower, do you know when the tower was initially erected?
That one's been there since at least 1996.
Okay. All right, 45 is withdrawn. We've talked about 46. Can we cover 47 real quickly here?
Sure, that's mine. That's 2270 Oxford. So 2270 Oxford is in Mount Washington area. The new antenna platform would be mounted at 140 foot AGL on the existing 191 foot AGL tower. And it's considered a conditional use in the CC-M zone. Based on this condition, use approval is required. Existing conditions. It's on the east side of Oxford, about 600 foot northwest of the intersection of Beachmont. And the properties in CC-M zone. It's abutting a parking lot, a driveway, and fronts on Oxford Avenue. At the rear of the parcel fronts Beachmont Avenue. It's been there since 2000. It's 60 foot from the nearest residential structure in a residential zone directly across Oxford Avenue. And the base has an aluminum decorative fence around it with block columns, so they're not recommending screening. Surrounding areas a mix of commercial, residential and parks zones.
Okay.
David, on this one, we felt that the decorative aluminum fence with brick columns looked quite nice, so we didn't require anything else.
Okay. 48.
Kristen, I think that's you.
I don't think so. Could you give us the address of that one?
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull it up now.
David, there's one number in that series of numbers that was skipped, so there might be no 48.
Oh yeah, I'm not seeing 48 on here actually. Okay. Yeah, so let's go to 49 then, 417 Forest Avenue.
Okay, that is my site. Address 401 Forest Avenue. The zoning there is community neighborhood mixed. The applicant is proposing to add a new antenna 142 feet above ground level on the existing tower. The existing tower is 190 feet tall and approximately 250 feet from the nearest residential structure in a residential zone. The existing base area is approximately 50 by 70 feet in size with a chain link fence with slats surrounding the base area. A new cabinet and associated equipment are proposed in that area. The tower has been on the site for approximately 15 years, around 2005. 250 feet from a residential home in a residential district. It says the existing tower is in a primarily residential area, but with commercially zoned property abutting to the east and south. Is there something else specific that you need?
No, I think you covered it there. It's a CNN district. Gotcha. Okay. And there's appropriate screening on this one?
Yes, there's slats on the existing chain link.
Okay. All right. Let me just look up the address here on this next one. Moving on to 50, this is 5836 Glenway Avenue.
That one is mine as well. That one is zoned community commercial mixed. Applicant is proposing to add a new antenna at 135 feet above ground on the existing tower. The tower is 159 feet tall, approximately 214 feet from the nearest residential structure in a residential zone. The existing base area is approximately 25 by 50 feet with a chain link fence surrounding the base area. Base equipment is also inside the existing commercial building. An additional cabinet and associated equipment are proposed in the exterior base area. Looks like this tower was built around 2000. The tower is in a primarily residential area, but is on a commercially zoned site. There are commercial land uses in the area. And I'm just looking for the fence.
Looks like they may be asking for additional screening on this one.
Yes,
Yes.
Is that right, Wes?
yes,
Okay. And for the record, no objection to any of the requests to screen from the zoning department, is that right?
That is correct. The applicant will follow those conditions, the fencing conditions.
And that's the case for
Correct.
all of them? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Last one, I think, 51.
That's
That address.
That one is 109 Vera Alley.
Okay,
109 Vera, VERA Alley.
got it.
This one is zoned CC-M. And the applicant is proposing to add an antenna at 160 feet above ground on the existing tower. The existing tower is 85 feet tall and approximately 100 feet from the nearest residential structure in a residential zone. The existing base area is approximately 28 by 75 feet in size with a chain link fence surrounding the base area. There is some screening installed on the chain link fence on the north, east, and west using a fabric material. Some segments of the fence on the west and south do not have screening. New cabinets and associated equipment are proposed. And again, the applicant will comply with the fencing conditions.
Gotcha. So there's also a recommendation from zoning on this one for additional screening.
Yeah, this one actually looks like some sort of fabric or something on like one or two of the sides. So we're just hoping you can maybe use that same material on the remaining side that doesn't have it.
Okay. All right. Wes, is there anything else you wanted to add to any of these projects? Testimony on any of these projects?
Not really specifically. Several of them have had conditional use approvals previously in the last 4 or 5 years for other new mounts. But all of the towers have been there for years and years and have been, part of the landscape and, accepted by the community. So there's really not much of any negative substantial adverse impact on the additional mounts on the existing towers. We just highlighted the couple, 3 or 4 that needed a little more screening. So that would be minimizing any negative aesthetic impact at the ground level from the street, views of the tower, base tower area from the street. So that's kind of why we put that in there. So.
Got it. Okay. All right. Anything else from anyone in the hearing here, in closing or otherwise, before we adjourn? Okay. So yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. I am inclined to approve all of these based on the longstanding use of each of them and the minimal impact that I believe that these additions will have. My guess is that most people won't even notice. So I need to formalize that decision in a written opinion. That's typically what takes a couple weeks. I have a sort of a pretty substantial caseload at the moment, and so getting all I guess there's 6 of them, all 6 of these together may take a slightly longer, but I would estimate 2 to 3 weeks before the approvals are official. And you can work with Wes as soon as you receive that written decision to have him okay the permitting. As soon as I finish the decisions, I put it into the PDF and I email it to everyone in the hearing. So you all will have a copy of it really just moments after it's finished and finalized. And like I said, you can work with Wes after that to get all of your permitting through. If you have any questions or would like a status update on where I'm at with these decisions, feel free to reach out to me directly at the email address I have posted up here. And I'll be happy to give you guys an update or answer any other questions that you may have in the meantime. Any questions I can answer now about anything with the process or anything else?
Yes, please. After you write your decision, is there an appeal period or anything, or what I'm referring to is the duration from there to building permit?
Yeah, so there is an appeal period, which is 30 days. But I don't think that prevents you from going ahead with the permitting process and finalizing that. And so I think that the permitting timeframe and procedures can run parallel to that appellate timeframe.
Yes, I believe so. And in fact, we have been on all of them working with the building department in that regard, but the permit wouldn't be issued until after the appeal period, correct?
No. Actually, and it's a little counterintuitive. I see what you're getting at, but no, I believe that they will go through with all of the permitting even before that appeal period elapses. And if for some reason one of these were appealed after the permits were issued, I think there would be more or less sort of like a stay at that point before the work can be completed.
Right. Very good. Thank you very much.
Sure, no problem.
So just so you all know, as soon as David sends that formal written decision in an email, then I can go into the permit system and approve the the permits for all 8 of the, or 7 or whatever they are, number of cases.
8, yes, there are 8.
For each of those permits. So, and then the building department would issue the permit, subsequent to that.
Thank you, Wesley.
Sure.
Will that permit be issued via the portal online or sent to us?
I don't really know exactly how the building department handles that, but, I mean, you can call them and confirm, but how they do that.
Yeah, I'm not certain either. I would reach out to them directly and ask them about that.
Will do. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, any other questions now? All right. Great, well, thank you all for your time and your testimony here today. I hope you all have a wonderful day. We are adjourned.
Thanks, sir.